Hi there, welcome all to this session. In today's session, we are going to go through a business analyst job description. Now, I have seen in multiple places wherein most of the participants are often confused about the job description. Now, the beauty of business analyst profession is like that there is no single generic job description. So every analyst role that appears on the respective job board have a different set of requirements. They have a different set of objective to achieve when it comes to their job description. Now, like we all know, business analyst profession is not like any other profession wherein you have a generic set of activities to perform. Rather, it's the most dynamic profession wherein every job description or every profile is unique in nature. If company A has a specific profile and company B has a specific BA profile, it is very unlikely that the profile would match. Obvious, there would be a match over 50 to 60% in the core competency part, but it won't be a close match like we have in development or QA profile. So this is something that we need to understand before applying for a business analyst role. Now, when it comes to resume preparation, I would suggest everyone that you first go through the job description, and after having gone through the job description, you align your resume accordingly. So, if let's say you are applying for a generic business analyst role, your generic BA profile is more than enough. But if you are applying for a functional business analyst role which demands domain competency, then in that case your generic business analyst profile won't work. Same case applies for the agile business analyst role as well. If you are applying with a generic business analyst profile for an agile business analyst role, then it is very likely that your profile won't be shortlisted because your profile, which is very generic in nature, doesn't convey that you have the necessary skill sets needed to perform those activities in an agile environment. Now, a very tricky thing that might be in your minds that how do we prepare or how do we understand the job description? So in this video, we are going to go through this job description and try to understand what is expected out of this job description. Like in development profession, we usually have the keywords like .NET, Java, PHP, SQL, or Oracle, or XYZ, which is self-sufficient that these are the skill sets needed for the job. But if you go through the business analyst job role, there is nothing like that. Rather, they are more in business language. Now, in this video, we are going to understand and uncover what is the expectation out of this job role. Now, if you go through this job description over here on the screen, the very first thing that we need to note here is what is the experience band that is needed for this profile. So here what they have mentioned, it's an overall 3 years of experience, 3+ years of experience. They have given the minimum criteria that the candidate who are applying for this job role should be having at least 3 years of experience working as a functional data or business analyst. If you could see here, it says functional data or business analyst. Now, when it says functional, what do you understand by this word functional? So, functional is nothing but if you have worked in a particular domain which the job is demanding. Now, we need to then quickly trace through this requirement. Is there anywhere domain expertise demanded in this profile? So, we come to this last line wherein we see domain experience, and we see that they need experience working in tax world. So, that is number one. You need to have a functional experience in tax world. The number two is data experience. Now, data experience is a generic skill set Even if you are working in a generic business analyst role, you would deal through various data modeling activities like preparation of data dictionary or mapping your UI screen with the respective SQL element in the backend, or working on some data centric projects wherein you are concerned about mapping of data. So this is very generic skill set which every business analyst needs to know. And then they say as business analyst, this is where they are expecting you to have the core business analyst competency. So overall what we understood, this job description needs 3+ years of experience as a functional data or business analyst. So functional is nothing but your tax word. Data is some skill sets like awareness in SQL and your core competency as a business analyst. Now, when you are applying for a business analyst, it is very obvious that you would be having the soft skills that is needed for business analyst. Now, what are the soft skills that you expect from a business analyst? So, the very important soft skills that is needed from a business analyst is excellent communication. If you are having excellent communication skill, you shouldn't be facing any difficulty in terms of working as a business analyst. Then comes your presentation skill, written and verbal. Now, when it comes to presentation skill, it is not like you have to prepare the PPTs out there always. So, presentation skill is like even if you are drawing a data flow diagram, or even if you are writing a use case or writing a user story, it has to be very presentable in nature so that the information is conveyed with less number of words. So that is what they are focusing on. Like we all know, picture speaks more than words. So you have to have that presentation skill wherein with minimal lines you can explain maximum information. So here it says that you need to have presentation skill both written and verbal. So written is like what I have just explained. It could be a use case, it could be a UML, it could be a user story, anything that relates to written presentation skill. And verbal is like if in case you are presenting your idea or thought in front of the business customer, then you have to be a verbal presenter as well. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you would be always presenting it physically in front of the customer. It could be in terms of an offshore call as well, wherein you are presenting or giving a demonstration of the functionality to the business user, or collecting requirements from a business user. So those are verbal communication that you actually do with the business user. So that is pointer number 2. Next, what you need to understand here is these are something which are generic skill set. Now you need to understand what are the core business analyst skill sets they are looking out in this particular job description. Now, if you see the core business analyst skill set, what they are saying, experience and understanding of technology tools such as Balsamic, Excel Advanced, Visio, TFS, Azure, and DevOps. Now, Balsamic is your UI tool. UI as in UI screen mockup or wireframing tool, which is very essential because when you are working as a business analyst, you should be creating a lot of prototypes to convey your ideas to the business user. So, UI tool you would be referring Balsamic. Excel you would be needing maybe this particular project falls under taxation domain, so you might be needing to prepare any charts or dashboard in Excel. So for that they are asking you to have the Excel advanced skill set. Advanced, you need to understand when they mention advanced that it is not the generic Excel skill set they are looking for. They are looking for something in terms of advanced functionality of Excel. Now this could be your pivot table, which comes under advanced functionality. Okay, then there could be macros, which you might expect, not necessarily. It completely depends on the job role once you get into that job. Not necessarily you would be needing this skill set, because these days we have macro developers already available in the team. Business analysts are not expected to develop any macro, but pivot, yes. Business analysts are expected to create pivots on a specific report. Okay. Next comes the Visio tool. Now, Visio tool can be used for creating process flows, data flow diagram, process flows as in process modeling. Together we say it as process modeling, the activity. Whatever you create in Visio, it could be a data flow diagram, it could be a process flow diagram, it could be an activity diagram, XYZ diagram, whatever you can. Now, TFS is something that is a Microsoft product, which stands for Team Foundation Server. Now, TFS, it's not necessary that you need to understand, because it is more of a what I would say a deployment tool, wherein your developers would be developing a certain set of functionality in a particular sprint cycle, and all those code would be deployed using this Team Foundation Server. Now, coming to Azure, Azure is a Microsoft product. It is a cloud-based environment, like we have Amazon Web Services, AWS, or Google Cloud. So Microsoft has Azure services, wherein you could be using those services to deploy your code into a cloud environment. Now, DevOps is usually a process which you follow that involves continuous deployment, which involves these two: Team Foundation Server and Azure. Team Foundation Server for management of your code base, and Azure for deploying those code to cloud environment. And the process which you follow is your DevOps. Now, if you know, I mean, I don't know how many of you who are watching this video come from development background. If you are aware of Tortoise SVN, which is nothing but a code repository which is used for versioning of the code base in a particular project, TFS is very similar to that. If you could recollect the functionalities or the offerings that Tortoise SVN offers, TFS is very much similar to that. Now, after having uncovered these three requirements, now next we need to understand, are there any exceptional thing which they are expecting? So here we see they prefer technical background. Now, since this is an project which is into into numbers, if you see tax world, so taxation project is nothing but numbers. So there may be a possibility that you could spend around 40 to 50% of time querying the SQL scripts, or doing some data analysis stuff. So that is where they are expecting you to have a technical background. Now, what I assume from this job description, this is nothing but the DB knowledge which they are expecting, which you could say, because they haven't specified here what technology background they are preferring. And as per generic business analyst job description, my assumption is that they are expecting database background over here. I mean, some sort of knowledge in SQL Server or Oracle or any XYZ database. Next, what they are expecting here from a process standpoint, they are expecting agile methodology experience and exposure. So you need to have agile experience over here. When it says agile, now agile comes in different flavors. It could be Scrum, it could be Kanban, it could be safe agile, it could be less agile, it could be disciplined agile. The form could be anything, but overall they need experience and exposure. So if you know Scrum process, like what are the typical 4 Scrum ceremonies, what is sprint planning, what is sprint retrospective, what is sprint review, then it is more than sufficient. You are expected to know that much. Now, if you go through the upper half of the job description, now we clearly understood what is expected out of these lines. Now, if you go to the upper half of the job description, it says a lot more about the project. Now, this is something about the process part. Okay, what you need as a generic business analyst, how should be your soft skills, what they are expecting from tools perspective which you would be using as a business analyst, what are the technical or additional stuff they are looking for from this profile, and what is the process that you would be following here. Now if you go through the upper section of the job description, it talks about what the project is all about. Now we all know that in a job description they won't be saying or revealing much about the project, like what is the actual project. Rather they would describe the project which relates to that particular project. Now if we read through the first line, it says that determine operational objectives by studying business functions, gathering information from key stakeholders, and evaluating requirements constraint on solution input and output. Now, if you read through the first line, it says that determine operational objective by studying business function. Now, what I understood from this job description is that this project is catering to various business functions. Now, what are business functions typically? Now, business functions are typically different departments in a particular organization. Now, since this falls into tax world and I don't have that much information or knowledge on tax world, I may not be able to tell you what are those likely business function in taxation world, but I could give you a relative example. So let's say the business function, you can assume it as we have HR business function or HR department. Then you have finance department. Then you have a PMO department. So these can be considered as business function. Okay. Now similarly, in the taxation world, the names would be different, but under the hood, the concept would remain the same. Now it says that determine operational objectives by studying business function. That means this project has different business function which it caters to, and operational objective, the term operational objective relates me that this project is already in operation. I mean, there are actual live users who are using this project, and this project, the nature is of enhancement nature, because this line itself states that determine operational objective by studying business function. So this is kind of a project wherein you would be getting most number of change requests day in and day out on a daily basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, or any XYZ basis. And based on that, you have to gather information from key stakeholder. Now what do you understand by the word key stakeholder? So if you relate this with the RACI matrix, responsible, accountable, consulted, then informed, so every department would be having a responsible stakeholder, finance or PMO. So you need to gather information from the key stakeholder responsible or accountable for that particular department. That would I mean that would give you understanding about the need of that particular functionality in that project. So this is where you would be using your stakeholder management skills, which is a core skill set from a business analyst standpoint. Next is says that evaluating requirement constraint on solution input and output. Now what I understand from this line is evaluating requirements constraint on solution input and output. Now when it comes to evaluation of requirements and constraint, usually what happens is when you interact with a business stakeholder, you take back their feedbacks or input and go back and discuss it with your respective team. It could be the development team, or it could be a business architect team if you are discussing it at a high level. Now this is the discussion which gives you input on like what are the typical requirements or constraints that this solution might be having. Because if a stakeholder says that I want solution A, you cannot give that solution A as he asks. There would be some technical challenges, some feasibility study that you need to understand when it comes to you. It's not like that they give you a command and you accept and start doing it. You have to understand it, you have to decompose it further before even making a commitment to them. So this is what they are expecting. So here you would be evaluating the requirements or constraint. Now it says that on solution input and output. Now it's a very generic thing in business analysis. I need not to explain it again because I have covered it enough in all my three sessions which are uploaded on the YouTube channel. You can have a look what are solution input and output. It's a core skill set that every business analyst need to have. Now if you read through the second line of requirement, it says that design new technology solution by critically analyzing requirements provided by the business. Now, people are often confused over here. What is this new technology solution? What happens usually? This is just a business term. New technology solution is something what you are implementing in terms of or the value which you are delivering to the business on top of what is already there in the system. Uh, then it says that critically analyzing the requirement provided by the business. Like I said, you have to thoroughly conduct an impact analysis, check what all areas the new functionality would be impacting. The development team might be doing a feasibility study. One more technique which you can use over here is fit gap analysis, which would uncover if it is a fit or the requirement is a gap. Again, you can understand more about this technology in detail in my sessions which is already uploaded on my channel. So these are something which are expected on the second line of requirement, and again it is a core business analyst skill set. Now this includes but not limited to creating process flow, workflow, charts, system wireframes, and solution diagram. The same thing for which I had already explained over here, you would be using this tool to create this set of artifacts. So these are the artifacts that you need to create as a business analyst, and these are the tools which you would be using to create this artifacts. So for process flow workflow chart, you would be using Visio. For system wireframe, you would be using Balsamiq. For solution diagrams, again you would be using Visio. So this is why they have mentioned this requirement that you need to be aware of these set of tools there. Clear so far? Now let's read through the next requirement which they are expecting. Proficiency and clearly write user story for development team to rely on in building solution. Now, since you are working as a business analyst and they have already mentioned that you would be working agile methodology over here, what they are expecting is clearly write user story for development team uh, to rely on in building solution. So your development team would be asking you user stories which they need in terms of building the functionality. So you as a business analyst are expected to write user story. Now what are user stories, how they are written, again I have explained in my YouTube sessions. Sorry, in my sessions. You can go through those videos as well. Now the fourth job description, it says that effectively communicate with project leaders. Now this is where you are interfacing with different stakeholder and your team members and stakeholder on strategic level to fully appreciate the direction of technology initiative to ensure requirement gathering is planned appropriately. Now this is where you would be planning your business analysis activity, wherein you would be interfacing with different project leaders, different stakeholders. Since this is an operational project which they have already mentioned over here, this project is operational in nature and is being used by different business function, where I gave you an example of HR, finance, and PMO. So you would be dealing with different project leaders of these departments, different stakeholder of these departments on a strategic level. Now strategic level is nothing but you would be dealing with the planning aspect of it. Now next line, it talks about handling any change requirement and gap analysis effectively. Like I said, this project is operational in nature by reading the very first line. So here is the confirmation which you are getting. So here you have to handle the change requirements and do the gap analysis effectively. So there are various ways in which you can or various techniques which you can use to perform a gap analysis. You can do a fit gap analysis, you can do an impact analysis, or you can do a feasibility study, whatever technique you are comfortable with. So most of the time I get question from the participants that what is the ideal technique which they should be using. So there is no right answer to it. So depending on the situation, you have to identify which technique suits you best. Because if project A uses fit gap analysis, that doesn't mean that project B should also be using fit gap analysis. Maybe that is not a suitable approach or suitable technique over there. You might be needing an impact analysis over there. So you need to be in a position who could interpret what you need to use there. Okay. Now the very next point talks about review the QA test cases and assist QA team in performing functional and UI testing. Like I already explained in my sessions, that quality assurance is an integral part of the business analyst profession. Whatever requirement that you gather in the initial stage, it's very important that you validate the requirement at the time of delivering it to the business stakeholders. So how and when you are delivering it. So in the UAT stage, you are actually delivering it to the business user, wherein they would be performing UAT testing. Even you as a business analyst would be co-working with them or helping them in performing UAT testing. Once it is certified, it would move to the production environment or the operational environment where the end users would start at using those functionality. So they are also expecting that I mean, this is a generic skill set that a business analyst need to know to review the QA test cases and assist QA team in performing functional and UI testing. Now, a very different thing, we are clear with all this point. Now, here is something that you need to focus on, the domain aspect. Now, here, if you go through this job description thoroughly, nowhere they have mentioned that you should be having or you should be knowing these all things in taxation world. They have only mentioned that experience working in tax world. So the priority of for this job description is not this keyword, rather these are the priorities for this job description. So you have to prepare according to this. You can ignore tax word, because what I feel from this job description is more generic in nature. It's not specific to, domain thing. If it's a kind of good to have, it's not a must have, it's a good to have. Next, it says that you need to have this knowledge, Visual Studio Team Server. Visual Studio Team Server or VSO Online is a tool like Jira tool. To be very, I mean, to make it very simple. So it's a substitute for Jira, or if you have used Rally, so this tool is very much similar to that. Then it says that offshore onshore model. Now this is a very common model which everyone is aware of, wherein the offshore team is in one country and onshore team is in another country, and we work in that fashion. Agile experience, backlog grooming, prioritization, sprint planning, DevOps. So like I said, these are the core competencies that you need to have from a process standpoint if you are working in agile environment. Now this is what I understand from this job description. Now next part, what we are going to understand here is what are the questions that you can expect from this job description. Now before that, let me clear out whatever I had drawn over it, and then I will tell you, depending on the experience, what are the typical questions that you can get for this interview. Okay, let me take a pen out here. Okay, now depending on the experience, the nature of question would be like from level 1 to level 5. It would be from simple to complex. where level 1 being the simplest one and level 5 being the complex one. Now, if you are someone who is having, let's say, 3 years of experience, okay, so if you go through this job description, you can expect a simple question like when it comes to this thing, Balsamic, XML, sorry, Excel, Visio, TFS, Azure, DevOps, they might ask you, have you ever created a process flow, or what was the thought process behind creating your process flow? Can you describe your project in detail, what you have worked? And basis on the project explanation that you have given to the interviewer, they might ask you a question like, how did you create the process flow? What were the inputs, what were the outputs, what were the I mean, how you designed the flow, those kind of things. And there may be a case that they might ask you to draw a process flow if it is a face-to-face interview. That is something you need to be prepared for, because when it comes to 3+ years of experience, it is expected that you should be very good in one thing, and that is requirements engineering effort. Now, what is requirements engineering? Requirements engineering is I mean, it's a collective term used in the world of business analysis for the junior business analyst especially, who essentially creates the documentation as in the ground level stuff. When you already know, I mean, I have already explained in my YouTube session that the very high level documentation is your business requirement document. Then follows your functional specification document, which is a subset of business requirement document, and then follows the rest of the artifacts like your use case, your UML diagram, your process flows, and all those things. Now, the very granular level requirements like the UI screen or use case diagram or process flows, those are something this 3+ years of experience business analyst handle, essentially the entry level or junior level business analyst. Now, had it been a 4+years, I mean, a 5+years of experience business analyst, what are the areas they would focus on in that case? Well, in that case, they would focus more on the approach part, like how they approached about the requirement. They collected the requirement from stakeholder and how they planned for the requirement. The interview would be focusing more on that. Now, the planning part, what are the typical questions they can expect here? They can expect here, they might ask them, how did you perform backlog grooming in your project, or how did you perform prioritization in your project, or how did you conducted sprint planning meeting, who were the participants of the sprint planning meeting, essentially what you did in sprint planning meeting. Okay, these kind of question you may expect if you are having more than 5+years of experience. They might even ask you like, what's the difference between product backlog and sprint backlog? What happens if I pick up an item for a particular sprint and I was unable to complete that item in that particular sprint? Where it goes? And is it necessary that you would pick up that item in the next sprint cycle or not? So these sort of question you can expect. Or you can even expect like, how would you split out the user story? What are the essential parameters that are needed to split out the user story? Or how do you define the epics? What are epics, or what are the features? How did you go with the feature prioritization for this for your last project? So these are the typical questions they can ask. Now, DevOps is something from a process standpoint, and there isn't much to ask over there. But if you are having 5+years of experience, you would definitely get questions on this, the planning aspect. And if you are having 3+years of experience, 3 to 5 years of experience, or someone who is having I mean, a little less than 3 years of experience, you would definitely get questions on requirement engineering. How did you do all your requirements? Now, then there is a third category of uh, what I would say interview applicants over there who have more than 8 years of experience. Now, what sort of question can they expect from this job description? because in this job description there is not there is no mention about the maximum experience band. There is only mention about the minimum experience band, that is 3 years. Now people who are having more than 8 years of experience, they might get question from these particular thing, the first thing, the second thing, then the third thing. Okay, how do they conduct gap analysis, what are the criterions they take into consideration, those kind of thing. They might get a question like how to deal with difficult stakeholder, which is a very popular question in social media channels these days. How to deal with difficult stakeholder. Now what I feel over here is it's one of the stupidest question to ask by any interviewer. How do you deal with difficult stakeholder? In my opinion, a stakeholder is never difficult. It's your thought process that he is a difficult stakeholder, because when you work in onshore and offshore model, either you interact with that stakeholder via video conference or via teleconference, so you don't know how he is reacting on the other side. So it's better, instead of building a perception about that person, rather get into a call and talk what is his expectation. You need to understand his expectation. So I always guide my participant that a stakeholder is never difficult. You need to understand the stakeholder, and ultimately that is your job as a business analyst. You need to understand your stakeholder. There's a reason why he is behaving like this. You need to understand that reason. Now when I say understand, you shouldn't start interrogating him the very next day. You need to understand what is the reason behind it, from a professional standpoint or from a verbal standpoint, which it states over here. So you have to maintain your professionalism as a business analyst. I see many business analysts who are essentially transition from development to BA role. People tend to say that they are not good business analysts, they are very rude, or they are very reactive in nature. So you need to understand that when I say you have to understand your stakeholder, that doesn't mean you start interrogating your stakeholder like criminals. They're not criminals. You have to understand their viewpoint. You have to give them option. There, it is very likely that your stakeholder may not understand the requirement what you are putting in front of them. So it's your responsibility as a business analyst to make them understand. So those kind of question you may get here. How to handle difficult stakeholder, and you might get a question like this. There are three stakeholder in the business function example which I gave over here. There are three stakeholder, one from HR department, one from finance department, and one from PMO department. Now you have a common requirement for all three department. Okay, and these stakeholder say have different viewpoints on that common requirement. The stakeholder from HR department says that this is not a priority for them. The stakeholder from finance department says this is not a priority for them. Then the stakeholder from PMO department says that this is priority for them. Now how would you resolve this conflict? Okay, now in order to resolve this conflict, there are various techniques. A very common technique is called as ranking. What you would do, you would ask PMO stakeholder, rank this requirement from a complexity level 1 to 5. Okay, you would ask finance department stakeholder, rank in this requirement in the complexity of 1 to 5. And same thing you would ask the stakeholder, HR stakeholder, rank this requirement in the rating scale of 1 to 5. So let's say HR gave 2 points, then finance department gave 3 point, and PMO gave 5 point for a particular requirement. And like this we have n number of requirements. Let's say we have 5 requirement. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. Now what we need to do is we need to repeat this process 5 times for each requirement. Now here it is 5 6 7 8 9 10. So requirement 10, the score came out to be 10. Sorry, requirement 1, the score came out to be 10. Requirement 2, the score came out to be 11. Requirement 3, the score came out to be 3. Requirement 4, the score came out to be 12. And similarly for requirement 5, the score came out to be 10. So which is the highest priority? 15 is the highest priority. So requirement number 3 should be done first. So this is how you can resolve the conflict with the stakeholder. Now there may be a case that the stakeholder may be very defending about, very defensive about his standpoint. So in that case, you as a business analyst need to make him understand that how significant is this requirement, if it is so. If it is not so, then there are other ways of negotiation. You can follow my videos which are already there on my YouTube channel. You would have fair idea on it. Now, what are the other questions that you may expect from a 8+ years of business analyst? Now, when you have 8+ years of experience, it is expected that you not only work as a what I would say planner for your project, you also help team or guide team in terms of their activities. So it is expected that you already handle a team of junior business analysts. So they may ask you question related to team management, like how you handle the business analyst under you, or what were the challenges that you face. They may ask you how do you gather the requirement, what was the approach, how did you conducted the need analysis, how did you perform the gap analysis, what were the typical criterions that you take into consideration when it comes to gap analysis. Those sort of question might come when you are having 8+ years of experience. So depending on your experience band, to summarize, the questions would be different. So if you're having an experience between 3 to 5 years, it is expected that you would get question from requirements engineering, and you may be asked to perform some requirement engineering activities in front of the interviewer if you are doing a face-to-face interview. Like they might ask you to create a screen mockup basis on a business case. They might ask you to draw a UML diagram basis on a business case. They might ask you to draw a process flow basis on business case. And if you are someone who is having 5 to 8 years of experience, they would ask you a little bit on the planning aspect. And if you are someone who is having 8+ years of experience, expect some strategic questions, like some scenario based question. And what I have observed personally is that people having 8+ years of experience are typically um, uh, typically deal with questions that are more from a planning standpoint, how they would planning the activity as a whole, because it is considered that you have that much years of experience as of now in business analysis. So this is how you have to prepare for a job description. Take some time. If you see the counter as of now, it's been 40 minutes that we have been discussing and going through this job description, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines of requirement from a what I would say job description standpoint. So you might be having job description is very lengthy in nature, so you have to understand the job description first. I know some people may be in hurry to crack the business analyst interview, but at the same time you need to understand. And I would say ki, you have to enjoy the profession which you are trying to get into, rather than pushing back. Okay, I have to get into that profession. Once I get into that profession, I would excel over there. This thing looks good from a thought perspective, but when it comes to actual reality, things doesn't happen like that. And trust me, this is something that I have seen, people being very excited at the time of getting the offer letter as a business analyst, and at the same time very demotivated when they were unable to accomplish a task as a business analyst, because business analysis is not a technical profession. It is more of a functional or analytical profession, analysis profession, wherein you have to understand the viewpoint. You have to do a thorough need analysis on why the requirement, what is the business outcome they are expecting, why they need this particular requirement. So you need to understand that. It's not like that you have to just follow what they are saying. So this is something that you need to take care of. So with this, I would like to say thank to all of you. Do subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed. I would be constantly uploading similar videos wherein I would be explaining you multiple job description in detail of various profiles. And if you have any questions, feel free to post your questions in the comment section, or you can use the forum section of my website. I would be very happy to help you out there. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.